Hello, and a belated Happy New Year. We're at Manchester Cathedral tonight for another candlelight concert, but we've not been sat doing nothing for the last couple of months. We've been looking into new venues and locations to record some new content, and I've been working on some new arrangements, so I'll speak about that a little later in the video. But for now, let's get out of this wind and into this awesome venue, see what's going on. It's been a while since we've been in here, but it's just such an awesome space. Most of the gigs we have the instruments mic'd up, but in here we do it acoustically because the natural acoustics of the room are just so awesome. So we have the audience here. There's a raised platform, I think it's called the dais, in the cathedral, so a section of the floor actually comes up, and so I'm on there conducting with the strings, and then the wind and brass are on a built stage behind.
Hey man.
Oh, hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay, thanks.
So this is Andy. Andy plays cello, and he's also an arranger. He did our Cry Me a River arrangement, and we're just going to chat to him about his process when preparing for these gigs. So Andy, say this was the first one. What are you looking for when you get a new part?
Just tricky bits.
Yeah.
See if there's any complicated rhythms. See if there's any, for me, because I'm a cellist, high bits. So things in the stratosphere that we don't normally play for, and just making sure we all know what to do, where to go, how sometimes it's if the part, especially if you do paper where the page turns are, how to navigate that.
Have you got a thing before the gig?
Yeah.
Is there a thing that you do?
Yeah, I'm quite strict with it actually. I do always the same scales, the same shifts, the same bow techniques, open strings, tune my instrument, warm my fingers up, all counts, because otherwise, could get an injury.
Would you say that's part of the performance for you? Because I think a lot of musicians...
Yeah, it's the bit you're not paid for.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but it's always, every time, crucial.
Yeah. Thank you. It's really great playing in this venue, as I said, because of the amazing acoustics. But what's also good is it's an open space during the day. Members of the public can come in to have a look around and whatnot. And I quite like that because although we prefer people to buy a ticket, it's really nice that they'll have come in to see the cathedral and they've seen an orchestra playing. So all kind of ties in with our goals of trying to expand and show orchestral music to more people. Actually, the first show that we did here back in, I think it was August last year, I was kind of taken aback because we were in the middle of one of the medleys, and they're about 12-15 minutes long. And when we got to the end of it, I was just expecting to kind of give a few notes and see if the players were happy, and there was this big round of applause behind me, and I turned round and quite a lot of people had come in while we were playing and sat and listened.
How is it playing a different part?
Ooh, it's very different. Yeah. The biggest difference that I'm finding is what I'm hearing, because I'm so used to being kind of more in the middle of it all. Normally I'm second violin, and I have the kind of more rhythmical bits and joining everyone, playing with Simi or Joy, I'm playing with Rhiannon on viola, kind of the parts are kind of joining everyone, whereas this is okay, this is me now.
Yes.
So pretty much everyone now is on an iPad, so a lot of people have got these fancy stands, and it's kind of exciting because it means that I can update parts and we're not having to print off reams and reams of paper. Printing off a whole orchestra of parts is quite expensive, not great for the environment, and also it's heavy to carry. So it's a bit of a game changer, everyone being on an iPad. If it really needed to happen, I could send someone a part right now, an updated thing, if there was a mistake I'd put on the part. And it also means in these kinds of gigs where it's very low light, candle lit, it means that people can see the music without a stand light, which is also handy. I'll just take you to the backstage area. Obviously we have a green room is what it's technically called, but this is where we all hang out while we're here. So I'm sitting here with some of the musicians and they're going to chat to you about what they do in preparation for gigs. We've got Sophia here, who's eating, which is a very important part of the process.
Rhiannon, who's also eating.
We need plenty of sustenance, really healthy.
In a venue like this, and we've played in loads of them where it's really, really cold, what do you need to do maybe extra to like to other venues to ensure that your instrument stays in tune and your hands are working and whatever?
I have to blow some air down my trombone because it warms it up.
Right.
The problem with brass and winds, they go flat when it's cold, and strings are sharp, right? So it's just it's tough for everyone.
So the issue with half the orchestra going flat and half of them going sharp is that in the duration of a piece that we're rehearsing, tuning can get out.
Generally, it's luck of the draw, because a lot of the times pegs will then, if it gets too cold, your pegs will then slip. Mine will slip.
Mine too. Mine is more likely to go out of tune when flat when it's cold.
Yeah, but I think it depends on your instrument, so you just got to stay alert.
Is there a chance of strings snapping and stuff like that because of temperature difference, or is that?
Let's not talk about that.
I worry about drumsticks snapping or like drum heads breaking. But is it a real problem that could happen, or is that just?
I think that could just happen at any time. I don't know
Right.
if that's specific to cold.
And in terms of, because a gig like this obviously is dark, does that affect your playing? Is it a bit like, you know, when you're learning to drive, they tell you not to look at your gear stick when you change gear? Is it like that, or are there bits where you rely on looking at your instrument and you can't because it's darker, or is that just?
Because this is a chamber orchestra, as a chamber ensemble, generally we do try and like look at each other for different cues and stuff. So that was the weirdest thing to get used to, I think, when we first started doing these gigs.
I think we play differently when it's darker. It's like something more intimate about it. It makes us kind of we have to communicate better.
I was saying, I always find it because we're all on iPads and it's so dark when you look up.
Yeah.
You can't see anyone because your eyes haven't adjusted. So you're literally just looking into darkness anyway.
I suppose that's a common thing with gigs, is when there's bright lights and darkness, it's quite distracting and weird.
That's one of the I hate that when you're doing a gig and there's like seriously bright lights on you, obviously so that the audience can see you, but it's so distracting. Or you look at the conductor and all you can see is spots.
Yeah. I'm here with Kate, who plays clarinet. You've seen her in some of the behind the scenes videos. What is your kind of routine, or your what do you do to get in the headspace of doing a gig?
I guess that the first thing that I would do is I would think about all of the bits that I feel less comfortable with. There's certain bits like that little bit of Digital Love that goes dun 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 dun. It's fine to play once, but it's a bit like when you say a word loads and loads of times, it ceases making sense.
Right.
And it's the same thing with that little pattern. It can sometimes suddenly you can't play it anymore. I guess on the day it's just about making sure that I'm just comfortable.
Is there anything that you do that's kind of mindset preparation?
I wouldn't say I have a particular routine when it comes to things like that. Sometimes I find if I think about it too hard, it makes it worse.
There'll be some musicians that like to keep themselves to themselves, so sit in the corner, maybe listen to their music, listen to it through. Personally, I like people, I'm a bit of a talker, that relaxes me, so actually getting together, seeing the people in the orchestra, that for me is quite relaxing and gets me into the frame of the concert, especially if we do that regularly.
If you're in a position where you're letting your friends or colleagues down in a way that it makes it harder for them to perform their best, that in turn isn't the best for the audience and doesn't show the best as the orchestra. So it's all kind of by being there for each other and by helping each other be the best we can be, that it becomes the best for the audience, and also it becomes much more enjoyable to play, which I think the audience really pick up on.
Everyone here is very okay when it isn't exactly perfect that one time, you know, and that's really important as well, is that we don't kind of freeze and tense up and be like, Jenny played the wrong note.
You've got to play compassionate.
Yeah. Another thing about preparing as well is being ready for when things go wrong. Because, I mean, I've definitely had like keys fall off in concerts. To be able to just get through that, and often other people kind of pick up on that and will help you out by putting things in if you're fixing something, or I think that's whole part of being prepared to, not for the perfect, just for what comes out on the day.
Someone once asked me, like, how do you know that you're really prepared for something, or how do you make sure that you're the most prepared? And I think in the end, the professionalism isn't necessarily about playing all the notes right and in the right place, because, you know, a robot can do that. It's about actually being able to respond to what your colleagues are playing, but also, just be able to recover.
But nobody plays 100%. You can't. In your practice, you can try and aim for it and work on things for that, but you can never play 100%. So I think it's playing with self-compassion, and if you're more compassionate to yourself, then you'll be more compassionate to your other players, I think. It works for a good ensemble.
So as I said, we've been quite busy behind the scenes just working on a few new projects. I'm working on some new arrangements, and we're hoping to get in the studio a new space. We've been looking for a new space in Manchester, somewhere that we kind of raise the game a little bit in terms of production and what we can do. So we're excited to hopefully get in there in the next couple of months, so keep an eye out for our updates about that. We've also got a new sweatshirt, which I'm wearing now. We've got a very limited run of them, but they're going to be on our Bandcamp from Monday, so keep an eye on there, and if you want to buy one, then please do. We've also got a new batch of t-shirts, so if you've been trying to buy one of the black t-shirts with a white logo, there's plenty more now. Also, we've got a couple of exciting live projects that we are working on. Hopefully they're going to be happening later on this year, but there'll be more info about that at some point. But I'll be updating you soon with a bit more about this music that we're working on when we're going to be back in the studio. In the meantime, keep in touch. It's always great to hear what you think about the stuff that we do, and we really appreciate you being a subscriber and following us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and TikTok. So yeah, keep in touch, and I'll speak to you soon.